This Scarpariello pasta recipe is super quick to pull together, fresh, and it couldn't be easier to make. In this video, I'm going to show you all the tricks to get this plate of pasta on your table in less than 15 minutes. So let's get started. First things first, we're going to prep the sauce. Place a frying pan onto a medium-low heat and add a little splash of olive oil. Peel 1 clove of garlic and add it to the pan whole with a teaspoon of dried chili flakes. This of course could be more chili, less or none, whatever you like. Next, the cherry tomatoes. To slice these cherry tomatoes in half super quick, I'm going to use the deli lid technique. I demonstrated this in my last video, but I'll show you again now. It's super easy. Just place a load of cherry tomatoes on top of a deli lid, place another lid on top of that and slice through with a sharp knife. Load the tomatoes into the frying pan as you're cutting them. What I love about this trick is I've just cut around 50 cherry tomatoes in half in 30 seconds. It's the perfect kitchen hack for this recipe. Once they're all in the pan, turn up the heat a little and add a generous knob of butter. This is around 30 grams or just over an ounce for my US people. The butter isn't a traditional ingredient of Scarpariello pasta, but it adds a well-rounded creaminess to the end dish and pairs so well with the sweetness of the cherry tomatoes. At this point, I'm going to put my spaghetti on to cook. I've got a pan of boiling water on the stovetop ready to go, and I'm going to add a generous pinch of salt. It's famously said in Italy that the water should taste like the sea. If this puts you off because of the volume of salt, just remember the pasta is only going to absorb some of this water. So that means it's only going to absorb some of this salt as well. Also, this is our only chance to get some seasoning into the pasta. So if you're a cautious seasoner, try adding a bit more than you usually would, and I guarantee you'll notice a difference in taste in the end. Mum, I'm thinking of you here. Stay with the spaghetti, adding a little pressure until it's become flexible and it's all submerged in the water. I'm using 200 grams of pasta. This is enough for 2 people. The packet states a 9-minute cook time, so from this point I'm setting a timer for 8 minutes. Now give the tomatoes a stir or a flip and a little seasoning with some salt, but not too much. If the pan feels like it's frying too hard or looks like things are starting to burn around the edges, then you can lower the heat a little. This is something you'll have to use your best judgment on. We want enough heat to break down the tomatoes in time for the pasta to finish cooking, but not so much that they burn and go bitter. Regularly give the spaghetti a move around with some tongs to make sure nothing is sticking together. Whilst all that is happening, the only things we have left to do is pick the basil leaves from the stalks. I'm going to use all of these bottom leaves to cook in the sauce, and I'm going to save a few of these younger, smaller top leaves for decoration. Lastly, finely grate some Parmesan, around 20 grams. Some recipes use a mix of pecorino and Parmesan, or 100% pecorino. If you can't justify buying the real deal Parmigiano Reggiano, then definitely try to source a Grana Padano over an imitation Parmesan. It's usually around half the price of the Parmesan and beats the non-Italian made cheese in every way. Taste, texture, how it melts, etc, etc. Also, it ends up being a lot more cost effective than the imitation stuff, even though it's more expensive to buy, because you have to use so much less to get the right flavour. That's all of the prep. I've got about 3.5 minutes left on my timer until the pasta is done. So I'm going to do some washing up, and you don't really need to see that. Okay, we've got 1 minute left on the pasta timer. The sauce has cooked right down and become a little jammy. Honestly guys, this smells incredible. It's such a simple, fresh sauce and it's going to go so well with that pasta. Once your spaghetti is at its al dente stage, take it off of the heat and with some tongs, fish it out of the water and straight into the frying pan. Don't worry about getting any water in the pan. We want it. And of course, drop at least 1 piece of spaghetti on the stovetop. That's obligatory. Turn the heat up under the frying pan, add the basil leaves and give the pan a shake and a stir to get the pasta coated in that sauce. Add a bit more pasta water until you have this kind of lightly soupy consistency in the bottom. It's kind of hard to add too much pasta water at this stage without just pouring the whole pan in. So if you're unsure, go with a little more than you think. It evaporates off so quickly and you're left with this starchy light sauce that coats the pasta brilliantly. Fry that pasta for 1 or 2 minutes whilst tossing or stirring until most of the water has been absorbed and the pasta is cooked. If your pasta is still too al dente for your liking, then add a little more water and place a lid on the pan. This will help it to finish cooking. When you see the piece of garlic, fish it out. It's done its job and it's given us a mild garlic flavour throughout the dish. Once you're happy your pasta is cooked, turn the heat under the pan off and add the finely grated Parmesan cheese. Stir or toss that in until you have this light creamy sauce coating the pasta. Usually when you add cheese at this stage of the dish, the pasta stiffens up slightly, so I'm adding a dash more pasta water. This always happens with risotto as well. Now, as always, taste for seasoning. I always do this after adding the cheese. cheese, because Italian hard cheeses bring a salty flavour as well. At this stage, if yours looks a little drier than this, then add a tiny dash of pasta water. You want it to be slightly saucy, and the pasta is constantly absorbing liquid. I'd much rather have a slightly softer pasta that's coated in a delicious sauce over a perfectly cooked pasta that's got no sauciness going on at all. Serve it onto a warmed plate. One of the easiest ways to get spaghetti looking nice is just to turn the plate as you're lowering the spaghetti. This gives you a twisted little mound of spaghetti. I'm making a short video for my channel this week showing you 3 different ways to serve long pasta like this. So of course subscribe if you want to see that. Spoon over some more of those incredible tomatoes from the pan, grate over a little more Parmesan cheese, and finally add the basil leaves you saved from earlier. This pasta dish is another one of those southern Italian classics that's greater than the sum of its parts. It's fresh, it's summery, and it's light. I encourage you to buy the best ingredients you can to make this dish. It uses very few of them, and this is a 10 out of 10. If you're looking for another quick and easy pasta dish, go check this video out next.